This is my AI final. So what I have here is the tank game, but added in the concepts that we learned throughout the class to try and improve it. So I'm using this dual scene and game view here to show you the obstacle avoidance that my AI will use. So I'm just on the other side of this wall here, and I'm gonna poke out so he can see me, and I'll move back behind the wall, and he can't see me anymore, but he will path around the wall in a awkward stuttery motion because I think I messed up something with the swapping between the obstacle avoidance control and the AI control of the mover. So it does some weird stuff, but that is the obstacle avoidance is in. It just kind of stutters a bit, but they will go around objects. I chose to go with just the simple obstacle avoidance of using the dot product of the object that we're trying to avoid based off the AI's forward to choose whether it should go left or right, basically around the object that it is encountering. I figured this game didn't need a very complicated pathfinding system, being that the AI just kind of are idle until you get near them, and then once you have their attention, they will chase you, and so they don't need to do more than avoid the objects that are between you and themselves, because they're just pretty much moving in a straight line at you. So next I will show off the stealth that I added. So you can kind of see there that the AI can hear me behind him, and so he starts to turn around. The other one hasn't heard me yet because I'm not close enough. And you'll see when I get closer, he'll start to turn around, notice me. Um, you'll also notice that right now they aren't chasing me necessarily. Okay, they started to, but so they will. Now that I'm in the green room as a green tank, their sight is their sight is worse, or at least their ability to spot me is worse because I'm the same color as the room. So every time I move, they will try and spot me again because they can hear me. And if they are able to determine where I am, then they'll chase me until I make another movement to try and hide again. Um, so if I was to step over into this room, you'll notice that they are just got too far from the other AI. I come get their attention again though. Okay, that is interesting. I don't know why that is happening. Um, but I can show off some of the other AI. I'm sure they will hear me behind them and turn to attack. Um, I don't know why those two AI want to stay in that room specifically because there used to be a problem where they wouldn't come through the rooms in between, but now they do. So those two AI just don't want to, I guess. Um, so the AI have a very simple state machine implemented, which just consists of whether they're chasing me or they're idle because they don't know where I'm at. Um, I didn't get to the point of making it much more complex than just chasing or not chasing. Also, I don't know what is wrong with my Visual Studio, but it says everything is wrong, but as you see, the game runs, so none of these are actually wrong. I don't know what happened while I was working on this. Something with Unity 2019 and my Visual Studio just don't get along. Um, so yeah, it made it kind of hard to work with. We'll start. So with the AI, um, they have some of the other states, but I don't use them for this project that was previously in, and it was kind of messing with a lot of my stuff, trying to get them to properly transition between like being able to hear and see me and stuff like that. Um, so what they do use though is if they can hear me, if they can see me, booleans, whether or not they're in the process of avoiding an object, and they use the seek player and idle states to chase me, or idle if that is what they so choose. So every frame we're running our sight function, and so down in our sight function, um, it'll go through a list of players, which my game currently is single player, but I would like to make it multiplayer um, very soon, actually, when I have more time. Um, so it'll go through and um, let's see. So it starts with the list of players. It goes through the list of players. It finds which player is the closest, or no, it goes through each player and sees if any player is in its aggro range. If it is, then it will check if the player is in its field of view. Um, if the player is in its field of view, then it will raycast out and see if it can hit the player with the ray. If so, then obviously the player is visible. There's nothing between it and the player. Um, so that's what it'll check. From there, once it actually can raycast out and see the player, then it will check what color is the player versus what color is the room. So then if the room color and the tank color are the same, then we come down and we check, well, is it making noise? If it is making noise, then there's a 25% chance that I can see them and I will chase them. I used to have the debug camo failed because you're trying to hide and they can see you. But the other 75% of the time, they remove their target, they set their state to idle, and they won't chase you. So they'll return false for sight, which will return a false to the can see variable. So then if ever at any other point we use the can see variable, which is used in the chase player and shoot, it will check like, can I actually see the player right now when I'm trying to shoot them, or like on the other side of a wall or something like that, or any of the other mini problems that could be stop you from seeing something. Um, for the hearing aspect, we actually just have can hear equals true if the location of the sound is close enough based on the volume of the sound, and it's false if not. So it's actually in the tank mover actually here. So whenever we move, I set it that only the player will actually set off the um, AI's, hearing rather than every AI whenever they move. I guess it's kind of like if they were patrolling around, you don't want them being like, "Hey, what's that?" And it's just like, "Oh yeah, Frank is coming around the corner for the 15th time tonight." But if the sound is out of place, like Frank just walked by and now Frank's coming by again, um, it will actually send in, it will broadcast that to the sound made function, the sound, and the sound is a object that is made up of the volume of the sound and the location of the sound. So it gives the transform of the player and the volume of the sound, which more or less is just how far away do you want your AI to be able to hear this sound. So maybe if you were crouching, it would be a much smaller number than if you were instead sprinting or shooting a gun. Um, so yeah, it takes in oops, that, and basically if it's close enough, it can hear it and it will try and rotate towards the sound and look at it. Uh, they still will stay in their location They don't go and fully investigate where they heard the sound from, but they will look towards it. So if you're trying to like sneak behind them, they'll turn around, they'll see you, and then they will chase you from there. The obstacle avoidance, like I said, it uses the dot product. So basically, the AI is moving itself with its seek player function. Yeah, do seek player. So it moves through this until it detects something in front of it. From there, so basically every frame it's casting out a sphere in front of it, and if ever it hits an object that is not the floor, because that was why they wouldn't transition between rooms. Any of the trigger boxes that are throughout, or the player, it will trigger. It will set off this, and it'll decide that it needs to try and avoid it. So it will get the dot value or dot product of the itself to the object. And if it's greater than 0, then it needs to go left. If it is less than 0, it needs to go right. And so it'll adjust, it'll turn basically away from the object rather than always turn left or always turn right, because obviously sometimes that can lead you to a corner. Um, and then here in tank data, this is where the stealth kind of comes in. So we have the room color, tank color that I went over before. So this is where it's stored. Um, I believe I went over everything I wanted to talk about in this. So this is the game. I would like to eventually make this multiplayer and a lot less cheesy. So add in either a timer that will randomly change your color every so often. That way you can't just sit in the room of your color and just kill everything very easily. Um, I would like to make it multiplayer, which is kind of, I'm way closer to implementing multiplayer than it would seem, based on the fact that it's only single player at the moment. Because of the fact that the AI already can handle more than one player at a time, which would really be the hardest part of doing it. Otherwise, it's just camera adjustments and adding in more controls. Um, I would like to probably add in a way that like maybe like power-ups that can mess with the other players. So if I don't have the random timer, then maybe make it so that instead of the timer randomly changing your color, um, you instead, like, another player can pick up a power-up that will change the color of all the other players. So if they're in an advantageous position, then it will mess them up. Um, Maybe some stuff with doors opening, closing. I don't know, just a lot of stuff that would make this project really cool in the future. I unfortunately ran out of time on it, but I think this class definitely helped me take a lot of steps towards making it a lot better. So in the future, it will eventually be improved upon. But for now, this is what I have. Thank you.